Total solar eclipse 2024, April 8th, here in Bettsville, Ohio, in Seneca County.
The moment we've been waiting for is almost here. Of course, I'm talking about the total solar eclipse taking place on April 8th. First and foremost, we're going to go over where totality is. If you're in it, you likely know it already, but I'm going to show you the percent of the eclipse that the entire country is going to see. So everybody's involved, no matter where you're tuning in from. Then, I want to break down some things that you may not know happen during a total solar eclipse. I think these are really, really cool. It's something to look for in addition to the main event, that diamond ring effect, the sun's atmosphere, the corona. So stick around for that. I think it's really, really cool. Then if you are in totality, this is going to be awesome to show. It's going to be a 3D path perspective, so you know the exact time that it is going to come through your city or your town or where you're traveling to watch this super rare event. At the end of the video, if you're finding it hard to come across those approved solar eclipse glasses, again, you cannot look at this event with the unaided eye. You need to have that approved protection. It's very, very dangerous to do so without it. We're going to talk about how to make your very own viewer at home. Before we break down that DIY viewer, while everybody is looking up, I'm going to give you a reason to look down during the eclipse. Something really, really cool happens. So we are going to talk about that later on in the video. Before we get into it, if you want to stay updated on all things weather and sometimes astronomy, hit that subscribe button for me, and we are going to get into it. If you find this content helpful, please give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Small ask, but it really does help us out a lot. Post in the comments. Are you traveling? Are you in totality? Would love to know where you're tuning in from. All right, so first things first. There's a lot to break down in this video. We're going to talk about how the eclipse happens and all that jazz as well coming up through this video. Path of totality, you likely know it if you're there, from about Montreal into northern Vermont, into Erie, Pennsylvania, just outside of Columbus, Ohio, into southern Indiana, just south of St. Louis, through Carbondale. Shout out, you guys got it in 2017 as well. Really cool stuff. Through central Arkansas, the big cities of Texas, outside of Houston, of course, Houston down here. We have Dallas into San Antonio, Austin, and then coming out of the resort towns, and then right on through Mexico. That is where you get that diamond ring effect. You get to see the corona. You get the darkness to fall, and you get some of that other cool stuff to happen. Now, if you're in Florida, you get about 60%. Everybody else is going to see kind of that Pac-Man, I like to call it, where the moon is taking a bite out of the sun. So you need to keep the eclipse glasses on or use that special DIY viewer that I'm going to show you how to make toward the end of the video. You need to keep all that stuff around and on for the entire time. The only time you can remove those glasses is if you are in the path of totality during the total part of that solar eclipse. If you're watching from Oregon, again, you're going to get a little bit of it. Not as much as what we saw for the annular, of course, but it's going to be that Pac-Man look, that partial solar eclipse. Again, 40% of the sun is going to be eclipsed, 60% closer towards us in Utah, and then about 80% if you are watching from southeast Colorado into Kansas, through parts of Minnesota as well, southeast Minnesota and northern Iowa. So still, even if you're not in totality, some cool stuff to look for, and I'm going to talk about that toward the end of the video. All right, so things to look for into the total solar eclipse, and this is that thing that you have to look for. I think this is one of the coolest parts of it, in addition to the corona, toward the diamond ring effect. When it starts to go dark, and especially when it goes dark in totality, you're going to see the brightest planets in the sky. I think that's really awesome in the middle part of your afternoon, and I'm going to show you where to look for that coming up in just 1 second. So you're looking for the bright planets and some of the brightest stars in the sky too. That's really awesome. Of course, the sun's corona. When the sun, or when the moon is right over the sun, blocking it out, you're going to see the wispy white coming around the sun. That is the sun's atmosphere, the sun's corona. And then right as the eclipse is ending, totality I should say, right when totality is ending, you're going to get that beam of light to shine right on through the one corner. And that is going to be that diamond ring. It looks like a diamond engagement ring. So really, really cool effect. But again, that must-see thing, I think, in my opinion, in addition to those, it's going to be the planets. This eclipse is going to be taking place in the southern sky, of course. This is not to scale. The eclipse dead center in the sky. So when this is happening, there's going to be a lot to look for, of course. Jupiter is going to be hanging out here northwest of the actual eclipse, where the moon is right over the sun. Venus is going to be hanging out into the southeast corner of where the eclipse is happening. Saturn, a little bit further to the south and east, might be a little bit harder to see because it's a little fainter. And then Mars might be a little bit harder to see still. You might have to wait till you're completely in totality to see that. But Mars is going to be the little red dot just to the south and east, just to the bottom there, to the right of Saturn. So some really, really cool stuff to pay attention to. And there's also going to be some of the brightest stars out in the sky as skies almost go completely dark here, as the sun is completely, at least from our perspective, right over the sun. Here's what's actually happening, and then we're going to get into the 3D path, and then we're going to get into my reason of why you should look down for a time while everybody else is looking up. So basically, what we have happening here is the moon moving in between the Earth and the sun. And from our perspective, of course, the moon is not even close to being the size of the sun, but it's positioned just perfectly where it's going to block out the sun. That's what we see there. And then the moon's shadow is actually cast right onto the Earth. And it's going to be that little sliver of totality that main event, that path there of totality right on through. So we're going to start this from the United States at 1:27 in the afternoon. This is the 3D path of totality now on April 8th. If you're in it, this is going to be a really cool perspective on when you need to make sure that you're ready to go in. Get out there early. I'm sure every one of these cities are going to have a ton of people coming to visit. There is 1:27 Central Time into the afternoon. This is starting to come back into the United States now. So places like San Antonio, Austin, heads up. We're going to roll this forward here. We're going across the entire country into parts of Canada, so this might take a minute, so bear with me. Stick around. I want to be sure everybody's included. There's 1:33 in the afternoon over San Antonio on the north end of town. So if you're on the south end of town, you might need to do just a little bit of traveling. Austin, we're going to be up, though, in totality. There's 1:36 into the afternoon.
Again, Central Time.
Same for us in Fort Worth. This is going to be 1:41 now in the afternoon. This is all local time. Texarkana, we're closer to 1:45. This is pausing this at 1:48. Fort Smith, Arkansas, we are not in totality, but the south side is. You don't have to go far to get in there. Hot Springs, Little Rock, Conway, what's going on, guys? We are in totality. This is at 1:53 in the afternoon. Memphis, we are not in totality. Don't have to go far, though. I had to take a trip up to Jonesboro. We're going to be in totality at about 1:56 in the afternoon. Now, getting into Paducah, we're going to see that as well. We're in totality. Terre Haute, about 3:05. We're going to be in that time frame, just after 3 o'clock. Bloomington into Indianapolis, the bigger cities of Indiana, we're going to be in totality at about 3:07. Muncie, we're up just after that. Columbus, Ohio, north side of town. This is just skirting us. You're going to be in it. South side, you might need to just take a little drive on the north side of town, and you'll be able to be in totality. Into Rush Creek, Findlay, Ohio, Crane, Ohio, Mansfield.
In Eastern Time now.
3:11 into the afternoon. Now, we're pushing into 3:15. We're back in
Eastern Time.
Again, this is all local. Akron, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio, Ashtabula. We are in totality at 3:15. Heads up, Erie, Pennsylvania, Buffalo, New York. We are in totality just after 3:15. We're pausing this at 3:18. Rochester, Syracuse, we're coming up. Syracuse at 3:23. This continues for us into Watertown as well. We are right smack dab in the middle of totality. Going to be a great eclipse for us, weather permitting anyway. Keeping our fingers crossed that everybody gets it. Middlebury, Vermont, shout out. Same for us in Burlington, Plattsburgh, New York, into North Elba. We are in totality at 3:27 in the afternoon. Montreal, we are in it as well at that time. All right, we're up in Maine, into Lincoln, into Pine Knoll, Presque Isle, 3:32, and then Presque Isle just after that, we get in there, and then this works its way into New Brunswick at about 4:35 AST. Again, this is all local time now, so I wanted to give you that perspective. All right, so I mentioned at the start of the video that while everybody is looking up, I'm going to give you a reason to look down. And here it is. And this also applies to everybody in the partial eclipse. Of course, the moon is blocking the sun, so the skies are going to gradually get darker. Something also cool to watch is that the temperature is actually going to drop a few degrees. When the moon is blocking the sun, of course, we don't get as much solar heating, so the temperature is going to drop a little bit in the middle of the afternoon. It's cool if you have a thermometer to kind of watch that happen, something to look forward to. And then this is the coolest part. if you're in the partial area or something to watch again while you're waiting for totality to happen, the leaves on the trees actually act as kind of a solar filter, as a pinhole camera, and it casts the shadow of the eclipse on the ground. So if you're standing near a tree, look onto the sidewalk, onto the street, onto the ground, you're going to see crescents, the eclipse, all over the place, projected on the ground. I think it is really, really cool. I think that's one of the coolest parts of the eclipse, especially if you don't get to see the main event where you get totality and you get all the other fun stuff to come with it. It's something to look for, and that's a little bit extra fun there if you're in the partial side. Remember, it's in this part too that you need to keep the glasses on at all time. You need to make sure those glasses are approved as well. Look for the little ISO mark, again, on your glasses, even if that is there. People can still counterfeit that. If you click this QR code on the screen right here, this is going to take you to a website. It's called clickorlando.com. We're based out of Orlando here. And there's going to be a link embedded in the kind of how to see this. And it's going to take you to a spot where there's going to be approved glasses if you need to order them. I want everybody to say if there's a lot of bad people out there that are trying to take advantage of this really awesome eclipse and take advantage of the wonder here, that's going to give you to a place where there's a bunch of different sites. Again, I'm not sponsored by these. They're just entities and websites. I'm not getting any money for it. I just want you to go there, and there's a bunch of different ones you can pick. And again, I'm going to have that link in the description as well. I also have a QR code on the screen that you can scan that. All right, now we're going to go outside, and I'm going to show you how to make one of those DIY viewers if you can't find those glasses, or if you just want to hang out at home, do something fun with the kids. That's coming up right now. First and foremost, before we get into this video, never, ever, ever observe the sun with the unaided eye. You need either approved solar glasses or a device like I'm about to show you. In order to make this device, just a few common household items. We're looking for scissors, some tape, a little glue stick will work just fine as well, aluminum foil, a piece of computer paper, and of course, a box. So the box is the main part of this device. This is the bigger box here, but later on in this video, I'll show you a more handheld version as well. So stick around for the video for that. Also, if you find this content helpful, hit that subscribe button for me. Give it a thumbs up as well. All right, so, and this, for the sake of time, I've already cut 2 holes. This is what you need to do. Cut 2 holes into the long end of the box. This is going to be so that you can look through one of them and then let the sunlight, so you can see the eclipse, come through the other. The next thing you need to do, take a piece of aluminum foil, and then we are going to tape it over one end of the box, or one end of that open mark right there. So we're going to use this one here. This is where the sunlight is going to come through. Real close on. You just need a little bit of tape, just like that. We're going to tape all ends of this so that the wind doesn't blow it off. All sides, just like that. All right, now taking either a small nail or a pencil, we're just going to poke a teeny tiny hole right on through, just like that. And that is where the sun is going to come through. Believe it or not, that is the device, that is the part there that is critical for this. This is where your eye goes, just like that. All right, so now on the inside of the box, this is also important. You're going to open it back up, any box will do, and you're going to take that computer paper, just like this, a nice little white piece of computer paper. This is going to be your projector screen. We're going to tape it before we get it in there, just like that, and then tape it right to the back of the box. And this is what you're actually going to see the eclipse on. The sunlight is going to come right through that little hole. It's going to be projected on our white paper in the back, just like that. And that is where you're going to see the eclipse. Make sure you have enough glue or tape on it. I obviously did not put enough on to keep it there. Now this is really, really important. You're not looking directly up at the sun like this. You are keeping the sun to the back at all times. What you're wanting to do is, this little hole right here is going to be over your shoulder. The sun is going to be to your back over the shoulder. Again, you're never looking at that sun. And then you're going to look right on through the hole just like that you cut for your eye. And then you will see the solar eclipse displayed on that white piece of computer paper, so pretty cool. Now that's a bigger box, of course. If you want a more handheld version, you can use a cereal box. A lot of people eat cereal for breakfast, myself included, sometimes anyway. You're gonna grab a little box. At the top, same deal. Cut 2 openings. So this is where you would pour the cereal out. One is gonna be for your foil. One is going to be for your eye to be held. Look, if you look deep there, I already have the piece of white paper glued there, so that one's not gonna move. But then what we're gonna do, same deal. Cut a piece of foil big enough to cover that opening. Just like that. And make sure that it is nice and tight. And then take your pencil or nail, just like we did before, little poke. And then, just like what before is, you're going to keep the sun is at your back. This is over the shoulder so that the sunlight is coming through that little hole. And then you just look in the back just like that, and then you will see the solar eclipse projected right onto the back of the box.
A total solar eclipse. It's a rare and astonishing natural phenomenon